east, and everybody cheered. That was just like 5 seconds, spot on. So we end up with the fire being blown into and stoked on the siege equipment. And I need to add one other thing. Before they started throwing, they knew where the Romans were coming up. So in that part of the wall line, they began to interweave organic material, so that and increase the thickness of the wall, so that when so that when it was hit with the ram, it would flex a bit, but with that organic material rather than the limestone just crumbling. And so, when this fire started on the siege engine with the east wind, everybody thought, yes, the Lord is with us. And then the wind changed, literally. And the wind came back out of the west. It blew the fire into the organic material in the wall. The thing is starting to weaken. Remember what happened to limestone? They've almost set this up now to weaken. And then inexplicably, the General Silva says, okay, let's wait. And there are 967 resistors up here, 15,000 soldiers. The outcome of that is not hard to determine, right? So then Eliezer ben Yair, who's the leader here, begins to articulate a plan. And the plan looks like this. We are the last of the resistors to hold out. And what we are going to do is everything we can to show these Romans that we are not going to submit to their pagan ways. It is better for us to die at our own hand, our families, our children, to die under the knives of our hand than to have them come in and do it. And so they organized a system where they had 967 folks organized into this episodic execution mode. And the heads of families would take the lives of their family group. There's a group of men who were leaders in the community who were chosen to be the last ones who would survive. There's a lottery room on the north side here. These individuals put their names on pottery scraps, put them in a jar, and drew them out. We have one from Eliezer ben Yair, the leader that has survived, and a few others. Wow. These men apparently drew lots, according to Josephus, so that there would be one person left who would take his own life, and that's the one who would dispatch the other. So it sort of was this pyramid scheme that ended in one person at the top. That person would kill this group of 10, 12, whatever it was, individuals. That group of 10, 12 would kill all the family heads. Family heads would kill their families. And this was the plan. And Josephus tells the story, Daniel, if you would read this. This is on what page, Daniel, in case folks
125.
125, in case you'd like to follow along.
They caressed and embraced their wives and took their children in their arms, clinging in tears to those parting kisses. At the same instant, as though served by hands other than their own, they accomplished their purpose, having thought of the ills they would endure under the enemy's hands, to console them for their constraint in killing them. And in the end, not one was found a truant in so daring a deed. All carried through their task with their dearest ones. Wretched victims of necessity, to whom to slay with their own hands, their own wives and children seemed the lightest of evils. Unable indeed any longer to endure their anguish at what they had done, and feeling they wronged the slain by surviving them, if it were but for a moment, they quickly piled together all the stores and set them on fire. Then, having chosen by lot 10 of their own number to dispatch the rest, they laid themselves down, each beside his prostrate wife and children, and flinging their arms around them, offered their throats. These 10 ordained the same rule of the lot for one another, that he on whom it fell should slay the first 9, and then himself last of all. Finally, then, the 9 bared their throats, and the last solitary survivor, after surveying the prostrate multitude, to see whether, haply amid the shambles, there were any yet one left who needed his hand, and finding that all were slain, set the palace ablaze, and then, collecting his strength, drove his sword clean through his body, and fell beside his family. They had died in the belief that they had not left a soul of them alive to fall into Roman hands. But an old woman and another, a relative of Eleazar, superior in sagacity and trained to most her sex, with 5 children, escaped by concealing themselves in subterranean aqueducts, while the rest were absorbed in the slaughter. The victims numbered 960, including women and children, and the tragedy occurred on the 15th of the month of Xanthicus.
It is a compelling story, and it is a powerful informer of the national identity as well. When military aircraft fly by Masada, they roll in and out of a bank in salute to the place. I've been here when the place is filled with flags for military inductions. It's a place people come as a school child, an Israeli school child, to learn this story perhaps more than any other, because it is a part of that identity which says we are never going to let someone put us in such a disadvantaged position that we have another Masada.